Hello guys, welcome back to Paep3nguin. In this video, I'm gonna talk about CHERNO ENIGMA skill, manifestation, weapon comparison. In this part, I'm gonna compare 3 weapons: Uninvited Adu, 100 Battle Veteran, and Halo of Hope. And the last one is her logistic talent priority. So CHERNO ENIGMA is a 5-star Chaos Elemental damage dealer. Her main role is a skill-dependent main DPS that specializes in dealing DOT damage. However, she is quite unsuitable for fast-moving target. I will explain later. When she using her standard skill, she will create a void at a target that can pull a nearby enemy to the void position and deal chaos damage while apply 30 stack of enmity effect to every enemy hit. And after that, the void will gradually increase the enmity effect on each enemy in the void range. And the enmity effect stack will deal chaos damage over time to the target based on how many stack the target has, where the enmity stack can stack up to 300 stack. By holding down the skill button, CHERNO can detonate the void to deal a massive chaos damage to every enemy within the AoE, where the explosion damage will increase based on the number of enmity stack the enemy has. So the higher the enmity stack the enemy has, the stronger the explosion damage will be. After detonate the void, it will clear our enmity stack from the target hit. After you detonate the void, CHERNO's standard skill cooldown will reset, and she will also regain 12 skill energy for each void she detonated. Also, only 3 void can exist on the field in the same time. If you upgrade this skill in Neuronic upgrade, the first upgrade is when CHERNO using Chaos type weapons, Ricochet Bullet can also apply enmity to the target hit, so you don't need to worry about she being a submachine gun weapon user that have a high ricochet rate. While the second upgrade, if the target enmity stacks manage to reach maximum stack at 300 stacks, the final damage of the explosion will be increased by 20%. This second upgrade is really necessary. So every time you want to detonate the void, make sure the enemy has 300 enmity stack first. The fun part about her standard skill is, when you holding down the standard skill button, you can increase the enmity damage frequency to every 0.35 second, from 0.5 to 0.35 second. So in case if the enemy only still have a few charged enmity stack, and you want to attack the enemy from behind cover, you can holding your skill button and release it before she trigger the detonation, so she can make her DOT to deal more damage by increasing the enmity damage frequency. And in case when you want to detonate the void, but the enemy escape from the void range, you can also use CHERNO character as an extended range. By moving her closer to the targeted enemy, she can also trigger the enmity explosion damage. But one thing that you need to keep in mind is the enmity stack up speed from the void is 1 stack per second, so it's barely noticeable if you only depend on the void to stacking up the enmity. So make sure to always also shooting at the enemy in order to speed up stacking the enmity effect. The downside about her standard skill is it can't deal damage toward destructible object, so that will make the Gundam Joestar become her natural enemy. Because Gundam Joestar HP is invulnerable when he still have the destructible part intact, so CHERNO DOT can't deal damage until you manage to destroy his destructible part. And she is quite unsuitable for fast-moving target or frequent-moving enemies because they will have a high chance to getting away from the void range that can slow down the enmity stacking process due to the void can't help you stacking up the enmity. And besides that, you also can't utilize her Manifestation 1 effect if the enemy is outside the void range. And the next one is her support skill. When she using her support skill, she will knock up all the enemy in front into the air, dealing chaos damage and inflict slow effect to the enemy hit. Then she will apply 10 stack of shimmer effect to the target hit. And if your shot hit the enemy that still have shimmer effect stack remains, that will cause all the remaining shimmer effect stack to explode and deal chaos damage based on how many shimmer stack the enemy has. Then it will clear out the shimmer stack afterward. But keep in mind, the shimmer stacks will gradually decrease 3 seconds after using the support skill. so better strike it fast while the iron is hot. If you upgrade her support skill in Neuronic upgrade, first it can increase the skill AoE range, while the second upgrade can decrease the Shimmer Stack decay speed by 50%. And the next one is her ultimate skill. When she using her ultimate skill, she will nuke all enemy within the AoE and immediately applying 100 stack of enmity to the enemy hit. If you upgrade her ultimate skill, first, if there are less than 3 void present on the field, after using her ultimate skill, it will create additional void around a target until the limit is reached. So after using her ultimate skill, there will be a guaranteed that 3 void will exist on the field. While the second upgrade, her ultimate skill can also inflict slow effect to the enemy hit for a certain duration. So the best part about her ultimate skill is that after the nuke, the enemy already has 100 stack of enmity, and there are also 3 void available on the field. So all you need is just to stacking up the enmity until it's reached 300 to do a second explosion. And the next one is her Devo Skill. Her Devo Skill can make CHERNO shooting damage also able to apply enmity stack to the enemy hit. Also the enmity effect able to deal chaos damage over time every 0.5 seconds to the target, where the damage over time will increase based on how many enmity effect stacks the enemy has. For every 100 element index, the enmity damage multiplier will increase by 5%. Also, the enmity duration is 25 seconds. By applying or stacking up the enmity, we reverse its duration. One thing that you should know about her DOT damage is, from here you can see that Acacia shooting damage to Joseph Joestar and Knee type mech have a huge differentiation, where because Joseph Joestar is a human type enemy that has a little bit weakness against frost elemental type damage, so we will need to take out 5% of the actual damage and the damage will become 903. And if we compare the damage, you can see that there is about 50% differentiation between both of them. That means if you dealing damage toward Knee type mech non-weak spot part, the damage will reduce by a 50%. While if you use CHERNO DOT damage, you can see that when her DOT dealing damage toward Joseph Joestar, that is about this much, while when she dealing damage toward Knee type mech, that will be this much. And because robot type enemy are very weak against chaos elemental damage, we will need to take out 10% of the actual damage to compare both of the damage. And from here, you can see that the DOT damage differentiation on Joseph Joestar and Knee type mech are about 0.1%. That means there will be no damage reductions when you dealing DOT to the Knee type mech. But that doesn't mean she is very suitable to dealing with spider robots like Knee type mech or Falconer, because both of the robots have a destructible part and always protect their weak spot that will lower CHERNO damage output a lot. But at least, if you meet this kind of enemy in the paradoxical labyrinth, you won't have trouble to deal damage toward them as long as you keep depend on the DOT damage and the explosion damage. The next one is her manifestation. For her manifestation 1 is quite useful. When your shot hit a target within the void range, there will be a 60% chance to inflict 1 extra enmity stack. This one is good to increase the enmity stacking up speed, but the RNG part and the requirement for the enemy to stay in the void range is quite annoying, because if the enemy is a frequent moving enemy, then they will have a high chance to escape from the void range. That will make you won't be able to trigger this effect. While her manifestation 2 is very useful because it can increase the final damage from her standard skill detonation by 10% for each void on the field. So there will be 30% explosion final damage increment from this manifestation 2. So if you already reached manifestation 2, make sure to trigger the explosion when you have 3 void present on the field. While her manifestation 3 is quite useful, for every 60 stack of the enmity the target has, it will deal 1 additional chaos damage to the target. This one can make your enmity able to deal damage even more. While her manifestation 4 can increase the void explosion damage to 9.9% of CHERNO attacks, from 9% to 9.9%. This one is kinda small because it only can give you at least 7 to 10% explosion damage increment. And the last manifestation are very useful. If the target not defeated after got hit by a void explosion in a full stack enmity effect, the target will be immediately inflicted with 50 stack of enmity effect within the next 2 seconds. So this one can speed up charging the enmity stack after the explosion. These manifestations are very useful or effective when you are dealing with elite enemy or boss. The next one is her weapon comparison. From here we're gonna compare Uninvited Ado, 100 Battle Veteran, and Halo of Hope. Here is CHERNO stat, weapon stat, and logistic stat. The logistic has 14% attack percent talent and also 11.8% chaos elemental damage. Here is the sustained shooting DPS when you're shooting at the enemy weak spot, while here is the sustained shooting DPS when you're shooting at the enemy non-weak spot. You can see from here, 100 Battle Veteran have the highest sustained shooting DPS among all of them. While for her skill damage, you can see that from her standard skill, support skill, ultimate skill, and her DOT damage, Uninvited Ado have the highest damage among 3 of them, while 100 Battle Veteran is the second and Halo of Hope is the third. While for the total DPS from her shooting and skill DPS will be this much. For Uninvited Ado is in here, 100 Battle Veteran about this much, and for Halo of Hope about this much. While for the total DPS below here is when you are coming in hot with an ultimate skill and followed by using skill and shooting to stacking up the enmity effect until it reaches 300 and then you detonate the void, the total DPS will be this much. It's very high because the nuke from the ultimate skill can speed up charging the enmity stack so fast. So in summary, you can see that Uninvited Ado damage output are 20% more higher than 100 Battle Veteran and 28% more higher than Halo of Hope. And also you can see 100 Battle Veteran is the second best weapon, but keep in mind 100 Battle Veteran have a low ammo capacity and a low fire rate. That means the low fire rate will reduce the enmity stacking speed, while for the low ammo capacity can make you reload the weapons more frequently. So in actual combat, you might have chance to getting interrupted when you are reloading your weapons. That might change the outcome of the damage output this weapon can deal. So if you wanna use 100 Battle Veteran, make sure to use it carefully. And if you compare CHERNO DPS with other character, for example Haro Absconditus, another skill dependent operative, you can see that CHERNO DPS output is highly surpass Haro Absconditus DPS. She can also surpass a hybrid damage dealer, for example like Wild Hunt or even Katia Blue Bolt. But in terms of easy to use, Katia Blue Bolt may be more easy to use than CHERNO ENIGMA. And in case you are an impatient person who like to detonate the void without stacking up to the max first, here is the calculation. If you just deploy the void and detonate it, the damage will only depend on your skill damage and about 32 stack of enmity, then the DPS will be this much. You can see that the DPS will be very low. That only works if you want to clear out mobs or weak enemy. So the conclusion is, based on the DPS output from 3 of that weapon, we can say that she is quite not signature weapon dependent operative. Because even when using her free-to-play weapon, she can already become a decent main DPS operative. But for the damage output, Uninvited Ado is the highest, second will be 100 Battle Veteran, and the third one will be Halo of Hope. So in case you want to improve her damage, you can pull for Uninvited Ado because she is a very war-infesting operative that can deal a massive DPS. And the next one is GRD Logistic Skill. The first skill can increase skill damage, while the second can increase DOT damage. And also, each stack of the DOT can make the DOT able to ignore the enemy defense by 1% and can stack up to 20 stacks. So far, there only CHERNO can stack up the DOT effect stack, so make sure not to use this GRD Logistic Squad to other operative. While for the logistic talent priority, the first highest priority is attack percent talent, while the second highest priority is alignment index. But if you can't get both of these combination, there are many alternative talent that can also be useful for her. For example, crit damage amplifier, crit rate, skill haste, or ultimate energy recovery. While for the third talent is chaos damage. So after all of that, are you still hesitate to pull for her? Or maybe you are regret after pulling for her? I hope this video able to change your mind. because as we can see, she can deal a very high DPS where her DPS are in par with other top tier main DPS, for example Yao Winter Solstice or Katia Blue Ball. I think that's all from me. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Cheers.